Devin jogs up the road, grunting with each step, each one sending a jolt through his stomach. While the weasel hadn't moved in his direction, Dev isn't taking chances. He also needs to make sure the coyote is... Womp womp. Cameron? He shouldn't be panicking. Not yet. But that feeling is starting up again. And after having a gun pointed at his face... Cameron! No answer.
The raincoat is gone.
Yeah. Ooh, this song's back.
Yeah.
Dev heaves for air, looking around until he sees a flash of flannel through a motel window. He's next to it in a second, unable to fit, so he pries back boards with his bare paws. Then he pushes through and tumbles into thick darkness. Despite having seen this monster in some form or another for over 15 years now, Cameron realizes he never really tried to move towards it. In the beginning, he tried to run away, of course, but it ended up following him. It never moved when he was looking at it, but the second he looked away and back again, it would reappear, closer, usually at that 20 to 30 foot distance. When he learned to ignore it, it just sort of blended into the background, and he almost stopped noticing it. As Cameron squeezes through the boards covering the window, he's only a few feet away from the thing. He realizes that if he makes contact with it, that if it's solid, then he won't know what to think. He never even considered that it might be real. But now, as those unnaturally long claws dangle from the sleeves of the raincoat, Cameron starts to worry. As he moves those last few feet, though, Raincoat Monster starts to dissolve into the dim lighting of the room, and the coyotes inside. It happens in a way that makes Cameron think of a mirage. But the creature's still here, now across the room, against the wall, its ever-present, deranged grin plastered on its dark, furred face. I had this thought when it was first mentioned in the prologue-y thing, but I never got around to it. I keep thinking of Mallow. The SCP.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
It's like the cell phone app that disappears on your phone, and after you've installed it, like, you start seeing Mallow. This, like, it's funny because, like, the example picture on the SCP page, which has now turned into, like, an entire, like, sub-fandom thing, like, which I didn't know about until recently, that it's like a whole character that people have obsessed over, like all the other creepypasta characters. But
it's just a skull fursuit, isn't it?
no, it's straight up a Halloween costume that you can just find, if I remember correctly, in the SCP picture. It's just taken somewhat creatively. It's taken, like, through, like, they took a picture of it in sort of blurry black and white through one of those, like, vertical window doors that you have at, like, in like college classrooms. That one specific, like, skinny narrow window that happens, that's, like, near the door handle of doors, so it's, like, obscured a bit. Like, the whole gimmick there was that, like, as the infection essentially gets more final, you start seeing it in reflections and so on. And then eventually you start seeing it in real life. And then there was a specific, like, fan fiction of that I read that was this additional lore version, essentially, was this idea that Mallow would always be visible through any reflection at a certain distance, and you would see it get closer over time, and it was essentially predicting the time of your death.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't actually kill you, but the closer it gets, the more it's essentially indicating how much time you have left, even though it's not the cause.
Yeah.
Just the idea that Cameron has this black furred creature just looming in the distance at all times is just makes me think about that the whole time. Cameron moves towards it again, slowly this time, the creature still seemingly frozen, but in a way a real person would try to appear frozen. That is a little more creepy. That's just like he's like it's something intentionally standing still instead of being an image. The creature's almost like an imitation of the one he's gotten to know so well. The one that almost became a companion of sorts in his childhood. About halfway across the dark, cluttered motel room, Raincoat Monster bends sideways, almost like it's going to do a cartwheel through the bathroom door. Its heavily clawed hand doesn't move though, and instead it just keeps bending like a bridge, like an arch. And then it slips into the darkness of the bathroom. Cameron stares, the feeling of unease growing. Of course. Shit like this always makes him feel uneasy. It makes him feel fucking crazy, I would imagine. But what just happened now? It felt deliberate, like he's being toyed with somehow. Raincoat Monster had toyed with him plenty of times before, especially the first time he saw it. It was his own mind doing it, after all. But what makes him feel nervous now is that it seems like there's something else behind it. Almost like whatever was behind his first vision in that other motel room is behind this as well. So he should leave, right? Whatever this is doesn't seem to have very good intentions. All it seems to want to do is fuck with him. If it is the same thing that hijacked his first vision, then it could look like anything. It disguised itself as Dev and said awful things to him. Disguised itself. Was that even a disguise? Is it possible Devin somehow made that call? That'd be the most plausible explanation. Aside from malicious ghosts being real, something he never believed until now. He trusts Dev, though. Cameron looks at the boarded window. Why did Artie and Devin abandon him like this? Is this part of Devin's investigation still? Is this a setup of some kind? Like a test? Cameron continues to just stand in the middle of the motel room, staring around himself. He has a completely incoherent read on
literally what I was just about to
anything
say.
That's happening.
He's such terrible trust issues. Like, truly, I
he gets
know.
mad that people are babying him, but then anytime anyone does what he wants him to do, he also feels betrayed by them anyway.
And he tries to manufacture these situations where it's like, oh, of course they're betraying me. Like, is this a test? Am I being tested? That would make sense. It would make sense that they'd be testing me for this psychic thing that I want to do that they don't want me to do. That's clearly something they actually want me to do that they're gaslighting me into doing. And it's like, dude, chill out. Why are you convoluting and contorting this into, I mean, of course, it all loops back into his like personal self-hatred and his personal issues, but
there's also an element of him being right, which is that he knows that what he's doing is wrong and that he's feeding into his addictive sort of trends, and Devin is supposed to be stopping him, and so it's like there's an element of like, why did he listen to me again? Like every time he gets his way, it's like a betrayal of its own.
It's like well, now that you say that, like in a lot of ways, this is a test for Devin to pass. Right?
Yeah.
Like Cameron's setting up this situation where he's like, you need to stop me, pull me back from the brink. And then when he doesn't, he's like, why did you betray me? Why didn't you pull me back from the brink?
And it's tragic because like the scenes are manufactured to make it like seem like Devin, like it's like the best Devin can do in half these scenarios, like because everyone acts like he's being unreasonable.
Yeah. Ooh, that's rough.
Cameron continues to stand in the middle of the motel room, staring around himself. This isn't right. He's not making sense. These thoughts don't make sense, but there are some connections, and he can't deny that something about this whole situation is off. The voices, the whispering, it comes to ebb and flow, and there's a slight electronic quality to it. It's not impossible that someone could have planted a speaker in the room to make him think that he's hearing the voices of ghosts. After all, Devin had been so adamant that he not come back to the motel with him to gather his equipment. That would have been the perfect opportunity. For him to plant a speaker now for the thing he told you not to do? It's a lot.
I find this particular kind of like trust issue extraordinarily tiring to just even be party to. Like, it is, the listening to this gives me like indigestion. Like, I want to take him and put him into therapy.
Indigestion.
Like, I mean, I don't know. We've said a lot about Leo Alvarez, but you know, Leo's got problems, but they're like self-apparent and visible, and he has red flags, so you know to keep your distance. You're like
Cameron, props for consistency, Leo.
Yeah. Cameron, on the other hand, is like obscured under 27 layers of like different contradicting internal monologue that is extraordinarily toxic to the people around him. And granted, we have not seen Cameron during his day-to-day life. Maybe Cameron's doing a great job on his recovery and in normal circumstances is just a great person, like, you know, totally possible. But in this particular instance, he is just a actual nightmare. Like, it is hard for me at this point in the story to imagine an ending where Cameron and Devin stay together and it is good for both of them.
Yeah, Leo was delusional, especially in parts of Jenna's route.
Yeah,
I mean, besides the actual, obviously, like, too far gone level parts of delusion. I mean, like, the normal days he was delusional in Jenna's route in a way, but like, it was very specifically this incredible, stubborn single-mindedness.
Yeah,
you don't really have to guess where Leo's at once you clue into what his deal is, and what he's fixated on. Cameron is everywhere at the same time.
Yes. And the thing is that Cameron does that sort of gaslighty thing of like, why are you being mean to me? But then also being like, I can't believe you pushed me to do this, but then let me do it. Like, he's always saying one thing and doing another in a way that is nuanced enough to be realistic, while also just being truly difficult to deal with on like an interpersonal level. So like, Devin and him are gonna have some stuff to work through.
Oh yeah,
for real. Like, even if they make it out of this alive.
It is in a way, it does feel like this is like Echo Route 6. Here's another relationship to test. It just doesn't have Chase in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's a very different, fucked up dynamic to try to interrogate, which we, like, you clued onto it instantly about, like, and then just the fact that you said what you did, and then 2 lines later was like, I can see why people fall in love with their therapists. It was like, no. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I would, you know, I think some people would see that and be like, oh, the writing isn't subtle enough, it's too on the nose. But I actually think in this case, it's very well signposted and very well characterized. I knew to look for something like that because the writing was pointing to that. So it's really consistent characterization, and that's why I think that's something that makes Cameron and Devin like already really compelling and interesting characters in comparison to a story that would be like half as well written, where they're just contradictory all the time and are unintentionally assholes to each other, just in the text, and it never gets interrogated. Like, it's clear so far that they're trying to bring attention to this, so it isn't grating in the same way as, like, you know, like as you were mentioning, like reading 50 Shades of Grey and just hearing the venom drip through the text.
Because those are genuinely nonsensical characters.
Yeah.
I do wonder what the consensus is, or like how people feel about the characters in this game. Just because I think about how often I hear about people hating Marco in Ad Astra, and I'm like, I'm just thinking about the kind of person who's stuck with Cameron and be like, oh my god, I hate this guy so much. He's the worst character. And just just resenting this character the entire time, and then just not like just suffering through it. Because like I have seen characters in these games be hated for so much less.
Definitely. I mean, there's also just the aspect that I think a lot of the audience of these games are like get very different things out of them. So
yeah, that could be the context.
You can't expect. Yeah.
Like on some level, Echo teases wish fulfillment with Leo, but Ad Astra like practically is sold on and promises it the entire time, and so in that context, any pushback or character getting in the way, like Marco can become like Skylar from from Breaking Bad to these people.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way that like I don't know if Cameron would have that same reaction, because this just doesn't have that vibe.
Yeah, no, Cameron is not the manic pixie dream girl of this story so far. Like, there's no silver lining quirkiness to this character. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting to be like, he is sick in a really bad way.
Yeah, and it fixates on this so immediately. And Devin doesn't really fill the Leo or Amicus sort of like archetype the same way, to the point where I'm like, I don't think anyone would be playing it for the same reasons at that point, and that might completely change how people react to the character.
Yeah. No, completely. It makes me want to look up if there are any like, you know,
negative
explicit
reviews.
scenes or anything, just to see if that's like what the game was sold on at all to people. Because, you know, obviously we know Echo doesn't really have any in the traditional sense, and Ad Astra was sold to many people on that promise. So I wonder how people are coming to Arches.
He tries to listen to them, but they blend together and mumble quietly, and he can't make anything out. If this is a setup, then Raincoat Monster could be a real person. Someone in a costume, or...
Something is wrong.
Suddenly, thinking itself is becoming difficult. He's still high, after all. But at the same time, things are suddenly making at least some sort of sense. If this is some kind of sick joke, that could explain a lot. A distant chuckle breaks through the hushed whispers. It sounds kind of like Devin.
Devin?
Cameron points his ears towards the bathroom.
Artie, guys, you can't really be doing this to me, right?
His voice is weak, unsure, and afraid. Something creaks to his left and the coyote jumps, staring wide-eyed.
Guys!
In the back of his mind, Cameron knows that whatever this is, whatever's going on inside or outside of his mind is not good. He needs to get out. Suddenly, something starts pulling at the boards of the window. Cameron gasps, stumbling back, an explosion of fear taking over in a way that he's never experienced before. Cameron? You're in there, right? You okay? It looks like Devin, but the coyote is moving for the bathroom. It is not completely sure, and even if it really is Dev. Cameron pulls the door to the bathroom closed and fumbles with the knob until he finds and presses a push lock that somehow still works. Cameron! Honey! Are you in there? Cameron keeps quiet, pressing his paws to his muzzle, suppressing his instinctual urge to respond. Cameron! Cameron listens to the bear's heavy footsteps on the ruined floor. Then, the doorknob to the bathroom vibrates violently. Cameron yelps.
Stop! I'm sorry, I need to figure things out right now.
There's a pause, one that seems to go on for a very, very long time. What? Devin's voice is equal parts confused and concerned. Baby, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What happened?
I don't know. Why did you guys leave me?
Leave you? I'm right here.
I looked up the road and you were just gone.
Oh, Cameron, something happened. It's a little complicated, but I can tell you about it on the way out. I'm sorry I left when I said I'd watch you, but we need to go right now.
Something happened. It's a little complicated.
Cameron, please open the door. Devin lets out a nervous laugh. You're freaking me the fuck out right now, honey. That only puts Cameron more on edge. That Devin thinks he's the one that's actually strange.
You're freaking me the fuck out. Why did you even bring me here? Is Artie there too?
Another long, horrible pause. When Dev talks again, his tone has changed completely. Like he's being very careful with his words. Like Cameron is crazy. Honey, can you tell me what's wrong? Did something happen?
You tell me, Devin.
You're really starting to worry me, baby. Devin's voice cracks. Cameron doesn't know what to say. He doesn't have to think of what to say because at that point, something rakes painfully down his back. It's like a giant set of claws, and Cameron gasps, then screams as another set of claws grip over the top of his head. He'd completely forgotten about the raincoat monster, but even if he remembered, he never thought it could touch him. Cameron, open the door. Open. God damn it, stand back, Cam. The air seems to explode as the flimsy motel bathroom door splinters with ease, Dev having kicked it in. With some light filling the bathroom now, Cameron sees that he's fighting with nothing. He thought it had to be Artie. Suddenly the bear is grabbing him, trying to hold him or pin him, and Cameron just struggles, trying to pull away. Cameron, what happened? Please calm down.
Just let me go.
Cameron is crying now, and it's making him gasp for air. Just breathe, Cam.
No, stop doing this to me. Just let me go.
Doing what to you? What happened?
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
Cameron's struggles become more wild, kicking out and fighting with Dev's much stronger grip. What the fuck? Dev seems to say it to himself, almost in a whisper, as if unable to believe what's happening. Cameron isn't able to either.
None of this is real, is it?
Huh?
Did you set this up to make me leave or something?
What? How would I do that?
Speakers or costumes, I don't know. Ow! You're hurting me.
Devin lets Cameron go finally, though he tries to hold on to him to make him look at the bear. But Cameron takes the opportunity to escape, running right for the window, much easier to get through after Dev's entry. Cameron!
I'm sorry, I just need to think.
Cameron can hear Devin crying now, but he can't stop. He needs to get out. He needs to get away. He falls clumsily through the window, and as he stands up, he gasps as he comes face to face with Artie. Suddenly, he notices how similar the color of his fur is to the raincoat monster.
Whoa, dude, you okay? What's going on? I can hear you guys yelling all the way.
Artie trails off as Cameron backs away from the cat, keeping him in view until he can run away, up the road to somewhere that's not here.
Yeah, the raincoat was still in the window.
And now it's gone.
Yep. I think it is tied to Cameron's perspective.
Oh, yeah. Dev sobs as he fumbles to get out the window, wondering if he's dreaming. This can't be happening. He looks around the parking lot, but all he sees is Artie. Where did he go? Artie points wordlessly, and Devin jogs up the length of the parking lot to look around the motel. Cameron's nowhere in sight. Devin stares for a while, hoping to see Cameron pop out from behind one of the dilapidated structures, but he doesn't.
Devin, what happened?
Something's wrong with Cameron.
I know, he looked totally freaked out. Did that meth head get to him too or something?
No, he's... I don't know. He's not making sense. He's not thinking right.
What do you mean?
Devin takes a deep, shuddering breath, still staring, realizing Cam might have already made it to the dirt road off Main Street. Devin rubs his face vigorously with both paws. He said something about us setting him up.
Setting him up for what?
I don't know. It's like he's completely... He's not in his right state of mind or something. Devin stops himself from saying completely lost it because that just sounds wrong. Seeing no sign of Cameron, Devin suddenly feels panic bloom in his chest. What if Cameron is so far gone that he's gone running off into the desert? He would die. Shit. Are you sure he ran this way? Dev starts walking quickly up the road, looking at each abandoned structure, scanning the desert landscape all the while. His panic has settled into a dull, persistent feeling of dread, and his crying is mostly under control, just sniffing every now and then. Artie follows behind him.
Yeah, positive, man. He was running, though.
Shit.
Hey, you know, he just looked really emotional. Doesn't he have panic attacks?
Yeah, but that wasn't just a panic attack. Something else is going on.
Has he done this before?
No.
Isn't he on medication?
No, man, he's not on medication.
But wasn't he?
Dude, this isn't helping anything right now.
Sorry, it's just that I remember him telling me he was on an antipsychotic back in college.
Devin's blood runs cold. I think it was just like antidepressants or something. Why would he even tell you?
Wow, he hasn't told Devin about his actual diagnosis.
Cameron. This is deeply worrying. It keeps getting... This is not... They do not have the relationship that they thought they had.
That they thought they did, yeah. I mean, if Cameron is, like, schizophrenic or something, you would assume that he would tell Devin about this. But it's clear that he didn't. And that's probably pretty fucked up if he talked to Arturo about it when they hardly seem to know each other.
Dev's voice echoes hollowly up the street, unanswered.
He was on both, I'm pretty sure. He was talking to Maria about it, since she's on a bunch of them for her bipolar disorder. I think he was just looking for advice on how to deal with the side effects, and I was a psych major, so there's that.
Were you? Cameron!
Duh. I was a failed STEM major. Behavioral sciences are the next step. How condescending. It's remarkably awful to say.
Despite that being something Artie might totally say, it sounds forced, like he's trying to keep the mood light. All Devin can think about right now is that he couldn't even be bothered to know what medications his boyfriend was taking and why. He just knew they made him feel like shit. So when Cameron said he just wanted to stop whatever he was taking, Devin encouraged him, and Cameron seemed happier after that. Oh, no.
Yeah, this is why you don't make your boyfriend your therapist.
Yep. This is why you don't idolize 2019 Joker.
Exactly. Oh. Anyway, I'm not saying he's like schizophrenic. Hi, Toaster here. Toaster's saying he probably is, given the symptoms. Antipsychotics can be combined with antidepressants for just plain old depression sometimes. I think he's just panicking a little. I probably would if I went into that motel alone.
No. Cameron was panicking, sure, but he was accusing Devin of setting him up, of tricking him. Cameron didn't trust him, and that's something Devin has never seen before.
And remember, with his tolerance, he's probably still pretty high. Could just be paranoid.
Devin gasps, and Arturo stares at him, frozen. Then rage and horror explodes in Devin's chest. The fucking weed.
Whoa, what happened?
You fucking know he has problems. Was on medication in college, you just let him get stoned? Artie stares.
Well, I didn't remember until just now, and besides, if that's what's making him freak out, it's gonna wear off.
No. He said I was tricking him. He doesn't trust me, Artie. He said I was planting fucking speakers so he'd hear voices. Artie continues to stare, but doesn't say anything this time. Devin does his best to avoid saying what he thinks is happening. That's not just panic, that's more than just that. Fuck, man, his mom died because of this shit. What if he's wandering off into the middle of the desert right now and... When he had researched psychosis, he came across plenty of stories just like this. The way so many of them ended. Devin feels like he's about to throw up. After a few seconds of silence, Artie clears his throat.
Listen, we don't know anything yet, but if I cause this to happen, I'm sorry. Either way, I'm gonna help you find your man, okay? It's only been 5 minutes.
Devin starts to calm down a bit, breathing more evenly.
Like I said, my girlfriend is bipolar, and even though I know it's not exactly the same, she's had moments like this too, and we always come out all right. So how about we look for 20, maybe 30 minutes? I'm sure we'll find him. If we don't, though, I'm gonna run my ass back up the road until I get cell service. Call 911, all right? Dude,
Dev takes a shuddering breath. Yeah, it's not the worst idea right now.
Just split. Just go for it.
Go deal with the problem. Yeah, okay. Let's go.
Oh no, this is Brian territory. There's no way. There's no way.
I need to call attention to, this isn't what the screen looked like before.
What are we missing from it? What did it look like before?
Do you see? Oh, the changes are literally all over the screen. The entire screen is one thing. Over and over and over and over.
Oh, it's all arches and bends and stuff?
Yeah, the clouds are arches, the road is arches, the sand is arches, the street sign is arches.
Oh, I thought the street sign had graffiti on it before, but I guess you're right.
Dang. It did, but it wasn't arches.
Yeah, this is
the entire screen is arches.
Yeah, he's in the throes of it, and everything's bending. Yeah, the perspective's all shifted.
Cameron shakes his head back and forth, unwilling to believe that Dev, his boyfriend, the person he loves most, would do this to him. But why? Devin is the one that wants to leave, that wants to protect him from this nightmarish town. How would this help at all, making all the ghosts up? Devin truly wants to understand what's happening to Lupita, where she is.
Nowhere.
So he'd want Cameron's visions to be true. Unless it's both. He couldn't have been involved in the vision he had at the lake, right? Or what he heard in the forest. Those were real. Cameron feels it deep down that they had to have been real. He couldn't have made up that recounting of the forest creature, or of the girl being murdered. Maybe Devin was worried that Cameron would give it up if he didn't see anything, and wanted to make sure by hanging himself in the closet, by creating one of the worst moments in Cameron's life. Devin would never do that. Would never think to do that. As he's thinking this, something flickers in Cameron's vision. It's hard to describe, but there's a vividness to what he's seeing. And then the lighting begins to change, just like it did next to the lake. The coyote stops, rigid and apprehensive, not really interested in having visions at the moment. He doesn't have a say in the matter, though. This time, the lighting takes on such a surreal, ominous, blood-red glow that even though Cameron thought he was prepared, he definitely isn't.
I don't mean to laugh here, but it's like, it takes on an ominous blood-red glow, and the sky becomes a bisexual flag. Bi lighting is now ominous and terrifying.
The greatest threat.
Oh no.
This is the gay agenda.
Yeah, exactly. They're coming for him.
He stands in the unnatural light, feeling a bit sick, but then realizes he's actually someone else. Just like when he saw the girl's life end. But he seems to snap into his host and looks down at the body of a creature he can't quite make out. This person he's become breathes heavily, doubled over, his giant paws on his knees, feeling sick. He's never killed someone before. This little fag deserved it at least. He spits on the body, but suddenly realizes he needs to get rid of it. As far as he knows, no one knows that he's here, all the way from Peyton. If he can get rid of the body, no one will ever know he did it. He prepares himself, finding it easier and easier to come to terms with the murder. The thrill he got from it, the swooping feeling in his chest that immediately makes his dick get hard. It's a bit worrying, even to him. With a deep breath, he leans down, but then suddenly feels like he's being watched. Slowly, he looks up. It's Brian.
It's Brian, yeah. Don't try to humanize Brian Howley. Come on.
I don't know how humanized this is. He's getting hard over murder.
No, of course.
But not exactly like, a sympathetic read.
It's troubling even to him. No, don't. Just make him evil, please. Don't make me consider the nuance of this.
It hovers over the road, watching him. He'd seen a handful of UFOs, all of them while he was an Echo. He'd come to realize that it wasn't aliens, or whatever the fuck people believed in. It was supernatural, or something. Like a ghost. He suddenly thinks back to last week, when the space shuttle blew up while his class watched it on TV. He'd been the only one to laugh when it happened. Okay, I don't think we're humanizing Brian very much.
No, okay, we're good. I feel much more even keeled here. Well, the only reason why I said that is because it was like he'd never murdered someone before, or he has to come to terms with it. Like, no matter how fucked up it is, that phrasing made me be like, oh no, please don't do this.
Yeah, but no, he watched a catastrophe happen and he Nelsoned it.
Yep, no, he just giggled because he's a weirdo.
Not really because it was funny, but because it was so unexpected and so boring up until that point. To him, that's the only way space could be haunted with ghosts. But for some reason, he doesn't think anything living, or at least anything that was living, is involved with this. What he realized is that those crafts, made of metal, glass, and covered in lights, are empty. As far as he's concerned, they're no different from the ghosts. Ghosts that weren't people at all. They're hollow shells, only there to feed on the sick feeling he got when seeing them. Only there to watch him so that the small amount of guilt he had might grow just a little bit bigger. And tonight, aliens would visit him, and torture him, and violate him. Not really aliens, but the same thing as the ghost that people see in this town. It's all the same. So he ignores it and gets to work, and it hovers over his head, even as he feels its red eyes on the back of his neck. Enjoy that, Cameron.
Yeah.
Cameron isn't sure what to think right now. A UFO?
What?
While the shadow creature in the forest had been strange, he hadn't seen it. He only heard someone recounting it. Cameron assumed that man in his vision wasn't in his right mind, maybe misinterpreted what he was experiencing. But this, a full-blown craft in the sky above a dead body. Now Cameron's almost positive he's being toyed with, like Raincoat Monster in the motel room. It just makes him feel like he's going crazy, and it reminds him that, for some inexplicable reason, he thought Dev might be in on it. How did he even consider that Dev could be involved in this? Besides, even now, despite it being almost completely silent aside from the crunch of his footsteps on the gravel road, the voices are insistent, even louder, and how would he hide speakers out here, in the middle of nowhere? Now that he's focusing on those voices, he can actually start to make out some of the words, sentence fragments.
Singing, they sang. Sins of cities are always. You piece of shit, stop doing.
Every time he catches a new voice, it fades away before it finishes what it's saying. Cameron stops so he can hear better, ears up. But the voices fade back to barely noticeable whispers in the wind. Cameron remembers those ghost hunting shows he'd watched a few times, the way they're always trying to communicate. So he clears his throat awkwardly.
Hello? Are you trying to talk to me? Do you have something you'd like to say?
Cameron isn't even sure he should be saying you, because the voices are such a mixture of many. But why would they all congregate on this one dirt road? Either way, they seem to have moved on, so Cameron starts walking again.
It's something we should see. You think you're special. Stupid shit.
Again, Cameron stops, and so do the voices.
Hello?
Silence. The words don't even really make sense. If the ghosts are trying to talk to him, wouldn't they say something useful? Maybe they just don't like him. And if it's a replaying of something in the past, why are they just babbling nonsense? Cameron sighs and takes a step.
You stupid.
The coyote freezes, suddenly making a connection. He looks down at his foot, then brushes it back and forth over the gravel.
Stupid sack of shit.
Cameron stares. It's coming from the gravel. From the sounds of it, anyway. A gentle wind tickles over the fur in his ears, and the whispers continue. Where is this? Oh no. That's not good.
It's interesting that they went back to this art style, too. Like
it is a photo filter thing. We don't have to worry about him getting very far.
Yeah.
Devin's gonna find him, like, building little sandcastles on the road as he tries to figure out the sounds that they're making.
Yeah. I'm being very diplomatic here to avoid spoilers for people who haven't read Echo, but we know that scene at the start with Brian, he kills someone there, and then we had this flashback where he killed someone there. Is this the area where Brian was burying people? I don't think it is.
No, because he was burying people somewhere else.
It was like in the mountains, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a very specific location that's not
graves.
Easily accessed.
Yeah, he's not walking over their graves and hearing them. He's just connecting with the land that they suffered on. It seems like. I like this music. Honestly, that's something that I've been enjoying about this game so far, is the little bits of music that we've been getting are very, very good.
It's definitely a step up once you start having in-house stuff and you can have a plan instead of having to like pick up public domain stuff and hope for the best, and then have people get jump scared when they see a car commercial that plays the fight theme from Echo.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because it allows them to create tone in a way. Like this scene that we're looking at right now has like a very Twin Peaksy, Silent Hill kind of vibe to it with this particular music and this kind of art style, or I guess photo style.